So this guy, his name is David, and David thought he was living the perfect life. See, it's 2018, and he's got this beautiful family in suburban Ohio. He's got a decent job at a local insurance company, a wife named Sarah, and most importantly, he's got this amazing daughter named Sophia. Sophia is 17, and she's just everything to David. She's smart, she's kind, she's got this infectious laugh that lights up every room she walks into. David always says she's the best thing he ever did in his life. But then, one day, everything changes. It starts with Sophia getting tired all the time. At first, David and Sarah think it's just normal teenage stuff, Maybe she's staying up too late texting her friends or something. But then she starts losing weight, and her skin gets this weird pale color, and one morning, she can barely get out of bed. So they rush her to the hospital, and after running a bunch of tests, the doctor comes back with news that absolutely destroys David's world. Sophia has chronic kidney disease, and it's advanced. Her kidneys are failing, and without a transplant, she's going to die. David is completely devastated. This is his little girl, his everything, and suddenly he's being told she might not make it to her 18th birthday. But then the doctor explains their options, and that's when David makes the decision that will define the rest of his life. See, David is a perfect match for a kidney donation. The doctors run all the tests, and miraculously, he can give one of his kidneys to save his daughter. And David doesn't even hesitate for a second. He's like, "Doctor, when can we do this? Tomorrow? Today? Let's save my daughter." So they schedule the surgery, and David is incredibly nervous, but also hopeful. This is his chance to literally save Sophia's life. The night before the operation, he sits by her hospital bed, and she's so weak, but she looks at him with tears in her eyes and says, "Dad, I'm scared." And David takes her hand and tells her, "Sweetheart, everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together." The surgery happens, and it's a complete success. David wakes up with one kidney, and Sophia wakes up with a new chance at life. The recovery is tough for both of them, but David doesn't care about the pain or the medical bills piling up. All he cares about is that his daughter is going to live. And for the next few months, everything seems perfect. Sophia gets stronger every day, her color comes back, her energy returns, and she starts talking about going to college and all the things she wants to do with her life. David has never been happier. He literally gave a piece of himself to save her, and it worked. But then, about 6 months after the surgery, Sophia meets this guy. His name is Ryan, and he's 21, works at a local auto shop, and honestly, David gets a bad feeling about him from the start. There's something about Ryan that just doesn't sit right with him. Maybe it's the way he barely makes eye contact, or how he seems to treat Sophia more like a possession than a person. At first, Sophia is just casually dating Ryan, but pretty quickly, she becomes completely obsessed with him. She starts spending every free moment with him, talking about him constantly, and David notices she's becoming a different person. She's more secretive, more distant, and she stops doing the things she used to love. David tries to talk to her about it. He's like, "Sophia, honey, I just want to make sure you're happy and that Ryan is treating you well." But Sophia gets defensive immediately. She tells him he doesn't understand, that Ryan is the love of her life, and that David just doesn't want her to be happy. This breaks David's heart because he gave her his kidneys so she could have a life, and now it feels like she's throwing that life away for some guy who clearly doesn't appreciate her. But then things get worse. David starts noticing that Ryan is emotionally manipulating Sophia. He cancels plans with her at the last minute, he flirts with other girls in front of her, and he makes her feel like she's not good enough for him. And the worst part is, the more poorly Ryan treats her, the more desperately Sophia clings to him. One night, David overhears Sophia on the phone with Ryan, and she's crying, begging him not to break up with her. David's heart is breaking listening to his daughter practically grovel for this guy's attention. This is the same girl he saved with his own kidney, and now she's being destroyed by someone who doesn't even care about her. Fast forward a few more months, and it's now a full year since the kidney transplant. David is planning to celebrate the anniversary, thinking about how grateful he is that Sophia is alive and healthy. But instead of celebrating, Sophia drops a bomb on him. She tells him she's going to confess her love to Ryan. She's convinced that if she just tells him how much she loves him, he'll finally commit to her and they'll be together forever. David can see this is going to end badly, but Sophia won't listen to him. She's completely convinced that this grand romantic gesture is going to change everything. So, Sophia plans this whole elaborate confession. She writes him this long letter, pouring her heart out. She buys him an expensive gift she can't afford, and she even practices what she's going to say. David watches all this preparation, and he's terrified because he knows Ryan is going to crush her. The day comes, and Sophia goes to meet Ryan at their usual spot, this little park where they had their first date. David is at home, pacing around, checking his phone every 5 minutes, waiting to hear how it went. He's hoping against hope that maybe he's wrong about Ryan, that maybe the guy will surprise him and actually reciprocate Sophia's feelings. But then Sophia comes home, and David can tell immediately that it went horribly wrong. She's not crying yet, she's just in shock. She sits down at the kitchen table, and she tells David what happened in this emotionless, detached voice. She says she told Ryan she loved him, and instead of saying it back or even letting her down gently, Ryan laughed at her. He actually laughed and told her she was pathetic for thinking he could ever love her back. He said she was clingy and desperate, and that he was already seeing someone else anyway. Then he told her to never contact him again. David's heart is breaking watching his daughter process this rejection, but he thinks maybe this is actually a good thing. Maybe now she'll see Ryan for who he really is and move on with her life. But instead of getting angry or sad, Sophia becomes eerily calm. She looks at David and says, "Dad, I don't think I can live without him." And David tries to comfort her, telling her that heartbreak is normal and that she'll get through this, that there are other people out there who will love and appreciate her. But Sophia just shakes her head and goes to her room. Over the next few days, David watches his daughter spiral into the deepest depression he's ever seen. She stops eating, she won't get out of bed, and she keeps saying things like, "What's the point?" and "I can't do this anymore." David is getting seriously worried, so he tries to get her to see a therapist, but she refuses. Then, one morning, David wakes up and something feels wrong. The house is too quiet. He goes to check on Sophia, and her bedroom door is locked. He knocks and calls her name, but there's no answer. Panic starts setting in, and he uses a screwdriver to unlock the door. What he finds will haunt him for the rest of his life. Sophia has taken her own life, and next to her is a note addressed to him. David's world completely collapses in that moment. The daughter he saved with his own kidney, the girl he would have died for, is gone. Through his tears, David reads the note, and it destroys him even more. Sophia writes that she's sorry, but she can't live in a world where Ryan doesn't love her back. She says she knows David gave her his kidney to save her life, but she can't handle the pain of being rejected by the one person she thought was her soulmate. The note ends with Sophia thanking David for everything he did for her, but saying that sometimes love isn't enough to keep someone alive. She tells him she hopes he can understand and that she loves him, but she just can't go on. David collapses right there in her bedroom, holding the note and crying harder than he's ever cried in his life. He gave his daughter a piece of his body to save her life, and she threw it away because some guy didn't love her back. The funeral is devastating. David can barely function, and all he can think about is how he failed her. He saved her from kidney disease, but he couldn't save her from heartbreak. Sarah blames herself, David blames himself, and everyone keeps asking how this could have happened. But the worst part is the regret. David keeps thinking about all the conversations he should have had with Sophia about self-worth and healthy relationships. He wonders if he should have been more forceful about keeping her away from Ryan, if he should have gotten her professional help sooner, if there was anything he could have done differently. The story gets even more tragic when David finds out that Ryan didn't even care about Sophia's death. Someone tells him about it, and Ryan's response is basically a shrug. He doesn't come to the funeral, he doesn't reach out to the family, and David hears through mutual friends that Ryan actually said Sophia was crazy for killing herself over him. This revelation breaks David all over again because it confirms that his daughter died for someone who never cared about her at all. She threw away the life he saved because she loved someone who saw her as completely disposable. Now, David has to live with this pain for the rest of his life. Every day, he wakes up and remembers that he has one kidney because he gave the other one to save his daughter, and his daughter is dead anyway. The physical scar from the surgery is nothing compared to the emotional scar of losing Sophia. David goes to therapy, he tries support groups, but nothing helps. He keeps thinking about that moment in the hospital when Sophia looked at him and said she was scared, and he promised her everything would be okay. He kept his promise about the kidney transplant, but he couldn't keep his promise about everything being okay. The story ends with David visiting Sophia's grave on the 1-year anniversary of her death, which is also the 2-year anniversary of the kidney transplant. He brings flowers and sits there talking to her, telling her about how much he misses her and how sorry he is that he couldn't save her from heartbreak the way he saved her from kidney disease. David realizes that giving someone life isn't the same as teaching them how to live it, and that sometimes the greatest act of love isn't enough to prevent the greatest tragedy. He saved his daughter's body, but he couldn't save her heart, and now he has to live with that reality forever. This story shows us how love can be both beautiful and destructive, how one person's rejection can undo another person's ultimate sacrifice, and how the pain of losing someone you die for never really goes away. David gave Sophia everything he could, including literally a part of his own body, but sometimes that still isn't enough.